Here's a question for you. Should we get rid of mandatory helmets for cyclists? In light of a new survey of Australians, an independent senator says yes. The Liberal Democrat Senator David Leyonhjelm says mandatory bicycle helmets are a glaring example of this country turning into a nanny state and an insult to our civil liberty. This comes as a survey by the Bicycle Network says 30% of Aussies would ride their bikes more often if they didn't have to wear a helmet. Senator David Leyonhjelm from the Liberal Democrats joins us on the line. Senator, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ben.
Thank you for talking to us. We spoke to the Bicycle Network when they threw this question out to their supporters and cyclists all over the place. It doesn't surprise me. I think a lot of people just want to be treated as grown-ups and they want to make these decisions for themselves, right?
Yes, I agree. I think they do. I think the politicians and the parliaments who invoke these laws are out of step with the public, quite frankly. We see quite a lot of that, to be honest. I've been in the Senate now 3.5 years, and there's amazing disconnect between what people think and what the politicians think.
How do we reconcile those freedoms with the kind of calls that I know I'll get this afternoon and I've got previously from people who work in emergency departments and people who work on the brains of young people and other people who have become injured when they've been injured on a bike, and if they had have had a helmet on, well, their brain would be in a lot better shape.
Yeah, well, I mean, the question is how far do you go with that? And I hear those sort of arguments all the time. They say, well, look, we have to pay for it because we have a socialised medical system with Medicare and so forth. So, anything we can do to reduce people getting injured is justified on the basis of that. But, why don't we make pedestrians wear helmets? We could remove all the stones in the footpaths because people might trip over them and hit their head. What's the limit to it all? And then, of course, once you start talking about other things that are not known to be not particularly good for us, like chocolate and chips and all those sorts of things, where does it end? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to accept the fact that adults are entitled to be adults. They're not children. And we can protect children from harm, although that's primarily a parental responsibility. But we can't treat adults like children. It's just ridiculous. John Stuart Mill had it right many, many years ago, decades ago, in fact, when he said the state should only intervene to protect people from others, from other people, not to protect people from themselves. We really do have a right to make our own decisions, even when those decisions are not very smart.
I didn't realise Australia's only one of 3 countries in the world where we have this mandatory helmet rule.
Yeah. Yes, you would think that if we were so smart that we knew more than the rest of the world, then the rest of the world would be changing to the way we do it, and that's not happening. Anyone who goes to Europe, and particularly the Netherlands, and sees thousands, millions of bicycles being ridden all over the place and scarcely a helmet in sight, you have to think, well, maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe it's a good idea to let people ride bikes, make it as easy as possible so they can get around. They don't use petrol, they don't use up roads to the same extent. They get some exercise, which is good for them. That keeps them out of the health system as well. And, occasionally someone will fall off and bang their head. Well, that's the price you pay for giving people responsibility.
It's knowing the difference, too, between circumstances. I mean, you've got plenty of cyclists out there who Saturday mornings they get in a group of 20 or 30 in the Lycra and they might go 50, 60 kilometres an hour on a busy road. Yeah. And then you've got someone like me who jumps on a bicycle to ride up to the shops to get some milk. I mean, yes. I think if you recognise the difference between those two, yes, then adult human beings would be able to decipher between, well, when I should wear one and when I don't really need to wear one.
Absolutely right. There's a huge difference between road racing and those people who wear Lycra and go like crazy and if you ask me, look a bit strange. And as you say, people are wandering up to the shops just to buy some milk or running out of Vegemite. It's an entirely different story. And one of my staff, just to relay how serious it is, one of my staff used to ride a bicycle to work. And she had a very bouffant hairstyle and wouldn't wear a helmet, partly because of her hair. It's a female thing, I gather, and also because she just didn't like the idea of being forced into do it. And a police car stopped her, siren going, and booked her for her trouble. So it's not a trivial thing. It's not as if you can just ignore it and it'll go away either.
All right, I've got a feeling it's going to be here to stay, but it's good to have the conversation. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Senator David Leyonhjelm from the Liberal Democrat.